Hello YouTube and the internet. Right, today we've got a really important review for you. I finally got hold of the third member of the Toyworld Dino Combiner. I've got hold of Grimshell. Yeah, quick note to Toyworld. Now I don't know if anybody from Toyworld is watching this video because obviously I've just checked and I am only the second person on YouTube to review this toy, Peaugh being the first one. A little, I wouldn't say complaint, a little gripe I've got. Why do you keep renaming your figures? The last 3 figures you've released, you've renamed all of them. It started with Devil Star, your Astro Train homage. You renamed into Evil Star. Then there was this guy, Expressway, who got renamed to Highway. And now we've got Corelock, who's been renamed Grimshell. What's that all about? You know, can't you name a figure once? I mean, I understand you might get a placeholder name on a figure, and then as it gets closer to release, you might run into some sort of issue where you can't use that name because of copyright reasons or whatever. But maybe you should do a little bit more research into your names before you give names to your figures, and that way you won't have to change them later on. Just a little word of advice to you if anybody from Toyworld is watching. Right, now getting on to the review. As I said, Peaugh has been the first person to review this toy, and it did a brilliant job, as Peaugh does. He did, however, in my opinion, miss a couple of things on this figure which I hope to rectify, one of which was doing size comparison with this fellow, Masterpiece Grimlock. And another thing, which I will get straight off the bat, Grimshell has a neck swivel. Now, admittedly, the joint is barely noticeable in his neck, and because it's been chromed, the chrome obviously has reduced the tolerances in the plastic, and it was very tight. It was virtually solid when I first came to it, but I looked at the joint in the pictures, and there was that picture that they did with Grimshell with his head at a cocked angle. So I thought there must have been a rotating joint on it, but Peaugh said there wasn't, but there is. It's not really Peaugh's fault because, like I said, this joint is so ridiculously tight when you first get the toy. You have to really sort of work it to get it to turn, but he does have a rotating neck. I just thought I'd get that out at the start. Right, okay, so here he is, the third member of the Toyworld Dino Combiners series, Grimshell. Now, he's obviously their homage to Grimlock, and here's Masterpiece Grimlock. Let's do some size comparisons straight away. Now, as you can see, he is a bit shorter than Masterpiece Grimlock, and in terms of length, he's a bit shorter. So yeah, he is just a tad smaller than Masterpiece Grimlock. But that doesn't mean he's still not a substantial figure. He's still easily, a leader class. Another size comparison. I know I'm doing this review arse about tit, but sorry about that. There he is next to, the new leader class Megatron from Combiner Wars. Now obviously this is in Dino mode, so you can get an idea of the size. And another size comparison, the Classics Prime mould, in which case I've been using Ultra Magnus because I haven't got a Optimus Prime in this colour. So there we go, some size comparisons for the Dino mode. So he has, this is Dino mode, articulation. As I said, he has got a rotating neck, which is very stiff when you first get the toy, and you have to sort of break the seal, so to speak, on the chrome on the joint to get it to work it backwards and forwards to get it to rotate more normally. The head sculpt I think is quite interesting because when you compare it with the Masterpiece one, they've gone for a totally different aesthetic. They haven't got that, you know, that triangular plate thing that he has on the corners of his jaws. Instead, he's got like this this round thing that looks like a screw head. And the head is more, as you can see, it's slightly less sort of angular. It's a bit more, bit bulkier. He does have light piping in the head. It does work, but because the transparent plate is so far back from his eyes, it does have a job for the light to travel forwards. He does have a gob full of gnashes, some very nice teeth, which are reasonably sharp, and he's got this little sort of flamethrower type arrangement in there as well. The neck goes like that and like that. I'm not too sure about this, how thin the neck joint is. I mean, you can see there, it's very, very thin. I wish they'd have put a bit more plates around it to fill it out some more, because from certain angles it looks very skinny. And then of course he has a rotational neck joint. Now, the arms. Some people have been saying they don't like these Dino arms. I don't know what the problem is. They're not quite as long as Masterpiece Grimlock's. They're a bit bulkier. They do have wrist swivels, but the claws, whereas on Masterpiece Grimlock the claws all go the same way, on this one they've got two claws, you know, going down and one going up. So it's got a thing going on like that. But when you put them together, they get like a cross scissor effect, and they look kind of odd. I don't know. It's up to your personal preference. I think they're all right. They do the job. They're on a nice ball joint with an elbow pivot and a rotational joint on the wrist for the claws, and they do move around quite readily. It's got a lot of chrome around his neck piece. Moving down to the chest, obviously you've got all this black detailing here. You've got these great sort of jetpack thruster things on his back, and then moving down you've got the chrome horn, chrome sort of back plates, and then the coloured bits on his legs. So if you compare it with Masterpiece Grimlock, obviously they've rearranged the colours of the pieces. Still got a chromy piece on the tail. There's no articulation at the back of the figure, which, well, if you start disconnecting it, it moves, but there isn't any way of moving the back. The legs, obviously, are on some sort of joint. You get that much movement in and out. They then go all the way around on a soft ratchet. There is a swivel there, and then there's a ratchet on the foot. The claws are also pivoted. So that's pretty much the Dino mode sorted in terms of articulation. Now, in order to keep this video slow, I'm not going to film the transformation because I haven't transformed this thing yet. If you want to see the transformation, go check out Peaugh's review. He goes through the transformation in detail. I'm not going to do that. So let's just move on to the robot mode, shall we? And there we go, Grimshell in his robot mode. Now, you saw when I did the size comparison with Masterpiece Grimlock before that Grimshell in his Dino mode is slightly shorter. Well, I've transformed Masterpiece Grimlock, and surprise, surprise, they're nearly the same size. Grimshell is probably about half an inch shorter in robot mode, but apart from that, they're pretty like for like, pretty similar in terms of size and bulk. He's quite large. Let's do another size comparison. let's bring back Leader Class Megatron. And you can see there he's again a bit taller, but quite a bit skinnier, because this guy's quite wide, quite stocky. And then a quick comparison next to Classics Prime mould. Yeah, he's a really, you know, good looking bot. I kind of like the aesthetic on this. I mean, when I saw the pictures of the promo pictures of the toy when it had been coloured, you know, when the was released on pre-order, it was like, what, that one? You know, I just love the look of this thing and just had to get one. And to date, this is now the most expensive bot that I own. It's my first £100, my first ton bot. It's my first £100-pounder. And a bit of a palaver getting him off Peaugh, because he was a £99.99 bot, he didn't quite qualify for the free shipping. So I added to the order 2 pre-ordered deposits. Now that was a mistake, because it quite clearly says on Peaugh that, you know, you're only supposed to have 1 deposit per order. Now I thought I couldn't see what the reason for this, but I do now. The reason being is because the orders were on, no, the 3 things were on the same order. Peaugh basically said, when, you know, Toyworld Grimshell comes out, you're going to have to wait until the other figures are released before you can get hold of him. And he came out this week, and I thought, I want my Grimshell now. So I had to ring up Peaugh and I had to explain the situation to them, and they said, well, you know, you're going to have to send us an extra £3.50 for postage in order for us to send your Grimshell on ahead of the other 2 figures you've ordered. So in the end, he's cost me more money. But there we go. Anyway, Grimshell in his robot mode. He's a good looking boy. He's got awesome light piping, like most of the Toyworld figures. Obviously the head's on a ball joint, and it's on a little rotating plate, so you can probably get a little bit higher, a little bit of sideways waggle, and all around. Getting to the old nitty gritty. Articulation, soft ratchet on the shoulder. It will go all the way around, but it's slightly hampered by the kibble on the back, depending on where you place it. It has got a joint where you can change the position of the shoulder lower or higher, and you can get a little bit of outwards movement, but not much. It has a upper bicep swivel, and it's kind of got a double jointed elbow, but because of the bulk on the arm, it only just about goes to 90 degrees. The the fist is on a pivoting joint inside the leg, and it swivels. And also another thing that's kind of unique to this version of Grimlock is that he can fold his claws away on his arms in robot mode. There you go, you see, there's the arm with them out, and there's the arm with them in. They all fold inside the arms, which is quite a handy little thing. Right, so then getting on to the lower body articulation, he does have a waist swivel. Now you do have to reposition this waist piece on the back, which is the waist armour for the combined mode, and then it frees it up for the rotation. The legs, obviously you've got this these flaps that allow the leg armour to move. The legs go over 180 degrees, so we can do a Van Damme plus. Go a little bit over the horizontal. very tight ratchets. And go that far forwards and that far back. Got upper thigh swivel, and then you've got the knees, which are quite stiff ratchets. They do go forwards a couple of clicks and then go back 90 degrees. And then on the feet, hasn't really got much, it's just got this little wobbly toe joint that can give you a bit of tilt, but the rest of the foot is solid. So there we go, Grimshell's articulation. He's got most of the bases covered. So yeah, he's pretty well endowed with articulation. Of course, this character does one other thing. He's also the torso for the Dino combiner. Now, Peaugh did a demonstration of that as well, and he did some size comparisons, but the one size comparison he didn't do was with Warbotron, which is currently, I believe, the biggest third-party combiner out there, just as a size comparison. The only thing I've got that's quite large is my Chomp and Stomp Grimlock. Now, one thing I did want to point out was, obviously Grimshell comes in this massive box. And just to give you an idea how big it really is, here's the box next to Chomp and Stomp Grimlock. That's how big it is. And obviously, you know, you get the instructions book with the card and the sticker. And it comes with a tray full of accessories, which include the feet, his gun, a sword, the hands with like these spiky chrome knuckle dusters, which are very, very sharp. It's got a shoulder piece for the combined mode, and a little baggie full of screw caps and a few extra bits to go on the combined mode, like wings that go on his head. But yeah, I'm gonna knock him up into his combine mode now, and then we'll do a size comparison with Chomp and Stomp Grimlock there. So back in a tick. Okay, so I finally managed to get into combine mode minus the arms, and obviously as you can see, I've got it up next to Chomp and Stomp Grimlock. Now, bit of a hassle plugging them in. Obviously the other members into the leg joints, because they're it's like a box with a number of peg holes in it, and they're round pegs, and they use a similar system on their other Toyworld combiner, the Not Throttle bots, and that seemed to work rather well. But on my one, the connection between Grimshell and Raw isn't very good. It just, as you can see, it just keeps coming out. It's not staying in there. The other connection into Muddy is incredibly tight. I had to really work it in there to get it to stay together. He does cut the head. It does come with a separate head to the Grimshell head. It's got a combiner head, and these wing pieces are separate, and you get them in the little bag, and you have to put them on separately. They don't stow away in the combine mode. He also has this toothy maw for a face faceplate. There is a separate faceplate you can put over the front, but it's just a plain black faceplate, and it doesn't really show much detail on the face because it all gets all blacked out. So it could probably do with some extra paint apps. But I quite like the teeth. As you can see, the Dino head comes on the front of the chest. The feet are they're a bit weird. The feet, they swivel from side to side, but they don't angle forwards and back. They have an angling toe joint with one step in them. Like so, but that's all it's got. You can't actually angle the foot on the connector plate to the other figure. The other thing is, because his legs are so bulky, with the the Dino legs sticking off the sides of the leg bots, he has to have this very wide stance, and he uses the same waist width as the as Grimshell. He hasn't got an extra bit to make his waist wider to accommodate for the bulkier legs, so he has to sort of stand in like legs akimbo type pose, which is rather annoying. Articulation, it's pretty much got all the articulation that the other one's got. Obviously it's got very strong ratchets on the combiner joints. And but yeah, it's a bit, it's quite heavy, and the for some reason the joint I've got on Raw doesn't want to connect properly. I don't know why. Don't know why that's loose. But there he is. Let's put Masterpiece Grimlock alongside. You can see how much bigger he is than Masterpiece Grimlock. He's about not quite double the size in combine mode. But there we have it. My little look at the Grimshell on the Toyworld Dino Combiner. Apologies for not doing the transformations. Obviously I've literally got the bot straight out the package, and I haven't really played with it. So it was a voyage of discovery for me, learning how to transform it. I had seen Peaugh's review, and I had a rough idea of how the transformation went, but do you really want to sit and watch me fumble about for the best part of 20 minutes while I transform it from one mode to the other? I don't think so. So that's why I didn't show you the transformation sequences. So apologies for that if you feel you've missed out. Anyway, it's a bit of a ramshackle review. I'm sorry I couldn't have done a better job. I have to wait until I get the remaining 2 members to complete him. So it's their not slag and their not swoop. I've seen images, well, teaser images of the pre-production prototypes for those figures, and slag looks pretty good, but the swoop, oh my word, it just looks awful. It just looks like a brick with wings. It's awful. It's so big and blocky. Don't know why they did it like that. Why they couldn't have made it look a bit more bird-like. Anyway, like I said, that's me done. I think I've addressed a few things that was missed in Peaugh's review, like size comparisons with Masterpiece and the swivelling neck joint. I hope you've found this review informative, and I'll catch you next time. Goodbye.